Hyrule Historian 2317 asks, if the next Zelda game keeps using the formula Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom have, which classic Zelda elements would you like to see re-implemented in that new style, and how? And this is like an evergreen question, because you can ask this between any Zelda game, and it's always fun to speculate about. And I always have, even after Breath of the Wild, I still have an answer for it, even though Tears of the Kingdom totally changed traversal. I still think a cool item that could be implemented in this style of game is the grappling hook. Not the hook shot,
for sure.
but the
I
grappling hook.
100%.
Because it could allow for more open type of usage, whereas a hook shot is more point and click at one spot and it pulls you there. Grappling hook, you could use it to climb all over. You could
be very like PlayStation Spider-Man, little swingy, you know? That'd be kind of cool.
You could also incorporate the Phantom Hourglass usage of it, where you could make a rope bridge. Maybe even a
slingshot,
human slingshot. Yeah. So I will always really bring that up. Yeah. There's probably types of things you can build with Ultra Hand that would do that kind of function.
A giant human slingshot would be awesome.
Yeah. But still, I think, something like that is cool.
I would really want them to bring back an instrument. I just want an instrument again. I mean, it was such a staple for so long, and then it's just kind of been dropped completely. I mean, and even you look at the Breath of the Wild just completely got rid of the idea, and you look at the game before that, and so much of the game is focused on the harp, and it's beautiful, right? And it's like you got to learn the song, and you're playing it all the time, and it's opening up the spirit realms, and it's just like that was like the least usage of an instrument in a while. And even then it still felt so cool and magical, and it like really speaks to the spirit of Zelda. And to just completely drop instruments for Breath of the Wild was a little sad. So I'm glad we got music back in Tears of the Kingdom with like the stable trotters and stuff. But like I would love to have Link with an instrument. Even if he had multiple instruments.
Instruments are cool.
But yeah.
Bring back the thunder drum. That's what we need for the next Zelda game.
So the only instrument you get is just one drum, and you're just like it's like a marching.
It's a marching one.
You have to learn like the different stick tricks they do, like Nick Hammond does in Drumline.
And you have to do them with the Joy-Con.
Yes,
you're like flipping it between your fingers and stuff.
But wear a wrist strap.
That sounds complicated.
That would not work.
Yeah, instruments coming back would be cool. I feel like they probably didn't, because they built the games around like these really specific mechanics. And
to me, it's so like they were using like the Sheik attack, right? If we just had an instrument to fast travel, right? Like if that was the explanation for fast travel, that would have been good enough for me. That's like, at least we had an instrument, but it was all the shit. Like, I want Zelda is music. Music is Zelda. I need them to interconnect. But
I feel like they could come up with like a new, because like the Skyward Sword, it had kind of the motion thing, but it didn't have much. Like, I feel like the Ocarina.
Well, Wind Waker was originally going to be a theremin, right? So we could have had a theremin in Tears of the Kingdom.
That is it.
Yeah, that's what we need. A futuristic Sheik-a-tech theremin.
Accordion, and you could have gone.
Oh, that's so true. That would have been so easy.
That actually would have been so cool.
DLC, cast, DLC.
Yeah, Tears of the Kingdom DLC is coming, I swear.
Even if you didn't want to use the Joy-Cons, you can just use like the two control sticks and go like that.
Yeah.
Like,
that'd be so cool.
Yeah, we need an accordion now. My answer is not like a specific item or anything, but I think it's something that is like people generalize too much and say like bring back traditional dungeons, and I don't think they really like get what they are asking for, because I think dungeons as we had them in like Tears of the Kingdom, were pretty great and had awesome puzzle design and awesome level design, and there all of that stuff is there. But I think one of the big things that older Zelda games had that isn't really in the newer games as much is that Metroidvania style.
Yeah.
Find something here and you can only use it to solve a puzzle over there, or like, or rather, like, here's a puzzle and you have to have this thing to solve it, but you can't do it right now. Like that's a big thing of like when Zelda was in its like those core years of like Ocarina of Time onwards. Like that was kind of the key thing,
The good
where it
old
was
days.
like the dungeon. People love the dungeon item, and I'm okay not having dungeon items, but the reason that's cool is because it's like you get presented with puzzles, and then you get a solution to solve that puzzle, and in your
Yeah.
head you're like, I can do this now.
Mhm.
And it helps you, it tricks you into feeling super smart because you're like, ooh, I just thought of a solution because of this new thing that I got. And I think a lot of that, like, not linearity, but like it's kind of fun when you get intentionally blocked and then you find a way later to be like, oh, that's how I can get past that. Whereas in Tears of the Kingdom, in Breath of the Wild, to the same extent, if you get to a portion where you're like, I don't know what to do now, a lot of times the solution was just, I'll just cheese it.
That's fair.
You know?
Yeah.
Which, like,
Yeah.
not inherently a bad thing, but it would be cool to have puzzles and things and exploration where it's like, I can't do this right now, and that's it. I just can't do it right now because I don't have what I need to do it.
Which I feel like to so many people is against the idea of an open world game, but you can still have open world games that block progress like that
Yeah.
in a good like
Exactly.
storytelling way. It doesn't have to be
Yeah.
fully open, you know.
And that goes into that too, where people are just like, oh, just go back to more linear styles. And like, we don't have to do that. Like, you can implement ways of like making roadblocks that are only solvable with like a very small amount of solutions that you have to find somewhere else, you know?
Yeah. A lot of the top Zelda games are pretty non-linear, in my opinion. Like, if we're talking about traditional, if we're taking out the two new ones and saying like, oh yeah, like the classic Zeldas are linear, I don't think that's true. Like, I think it's like it's a mix, you know, like I love Link's Awakening. That's a bit more of a straightforward game, but then like its contemporaries like Link to the Past, Legend of Zelda, even Ocarina of Time has a lot of different sequences. Though it's more, you know, it's like those are all a mix of like you can they're fairly non-linear, like to a pretty extreme degree in some cases. And it's like, I don't know, it's that thing I always say of like the like people who are like now kind of less into the new ones, like they're kind of going through a similar thing that people went through when the games they loved came out or they love came out, you know, whereas like it was like it actually kind of, I don't know, the idea of traditional Zelda dungeons that you were talking about, Corey, like that people have in their head, it's like even amongst the games before these new ones, like that's not a one specific type of thing. Like each games have like kind of do have their own conventions, and like the new one with these new ones are, instead of hey, you collect a bunch of small keys and then get the big key, whatever, it's you get the 4 things, you know, and or the 5 things, and they, you know, I don't know, maybe the one is
solve the 5 big
more
puzzles to get to the boss.
5.
That's all it is.
Which, like, that's really not crazy different from what we had in previous Zelda games. It's just like a lot of the scope of what you could do as the player has just blown up like crazy, so it doesn't feel like those. And I feel like I hear a lot people saying like, I wish they would just make it so that like you have to do this dungeon and then you have to do this dungeon. It's like, I personally don't think that would I don't think that would make you feel better. I don't think that would solve what you're looking for. I think there are other solutions to give you those feelings that you're chasing from the golden era of Zelda, you know?
Especially since they do such a good job of scaling the enemies in each dungeon. based on your
Yeah.
like hidden progression, like your sort of like XP
Mhm.
system that's like in the background of the game, right? Like they made it feel like no matter which order you did the dungeons in, they get harder each time. And I mean, I think they did a fantastic job. I don't think we need a specific order if it's going to be an open world game. I don't think that would necessarily fix that for
Yeah.
those
There are
people that
other
are complaining
methods
about
that you could
that.
take to
Yeah.
give you that feeling, you know.
Mhm.